All right, locker room, let's talk about those Cowboys that we watched today. And I just incidentally, guys, I didn't even go to the game. I was already too hyped about what happened with Miami on Saturday, and I knew that the Cowboys got knocked out of the playoffs on Saturday when Philly won. So I was wondering, I said, now watch. I thought maybe these guys would come out and show up and play well just to say to people, I know we're out, but look at what we have. We're having something, but, man, put up 17 points. Chargers put up double that, 34 points. You got moments in this game, between Dak and George Pickens, but they were never really a threat in this game. The Chargers, by my standard, dominated this game pretty much. I mean, Pickens had 130 yards. I think the only place that Dak threw for 244. The only place I think the Chargers overplayed their hand was when they put 3-on-3. When they had Derwin James trying to cover George Pickens. Now, Derwin James is like the heart and soul of their team now. And he does a great job, because he can cover. And he's talented enough he can go cover the Travis Kelce's and all of those guys. But you can't put him out wide and ask him, I think, to run and hang and play with a George Pickens. But nonetheless, the Chargers won this game, and it's so interesting. It's so interesting to see because Quinn Johnson caught a phenomenal play, phenomenal touchdown, one-handed touchdown today in Dallas. And I'm sure he has so many family here, so much family at that game because he's from TCU. I used to go watch him play at TCU. And, when he first got with the Chargers, it was kind of a slow start, but he's really taken off now. Really, Coach Harbaugh has really got him going. He had 100 yards today and a one-handed grab in the end zone that reminded me exactly of a play I made against Dale Carter, I think on a Thanksgiving day against the Chiefs one day in the corner of the end zone. But he's a phenomenal player, man. 4 catches? Longer 50? The dude can go deep. He can grab. I watched him do some phenomenal things at TCU. I was surprised when he first got to the Chargers how slow of a start he was having. I had talked with him, and I thought he was a great dude. So yeah, you could tell he's really coming on. Of course, Justin Herbert threw for 300 yards again, and Justin Herbert is playing phenomenal with one arm. He's still got the cast on his non-throwing arm. But yeah, the Chargers are going to be a problem in the playoffs. And trust me, the Chargers got all of these wins, and they're going to be a problem in the playoffs because it's the Chargers. It's not going to be the Chiefs. It's going to be the Broncos, the Chargers. Isn't that crazy coming out of that division? And there's some of these young guys take over because there's no Patrick Mahomes coming out of that division anymore. There's no Lamar Jackson that they have to worry about anymore. So now you got Josh Allen in there, and you don't have to worry about a Joe Burrow, So it's a lot of talented quarterbacks that will be sitting home, including our quarterback with those Dallas Cowboys. I want to get to what I call my top 3 games, and I'll go in the order, coming 3-1. Today, watching Pitt in Detroit was very interesting. Pitt ultimately win that game. Pittsburgh wins the game 29-24. Detroit had a chance late. The game ended on a little funny business. They called a pass interference against St. Brown with Jalen Ramsey. I don't know that I would have necessarily called it, but even if they didn't call it, and I thought they made a great play on the defense right on the goal line by keeping St. Brown out. And then I thought there should have been a whistle blown on forward progress, but St. Brown tossed the ball to Jared Goff, who got the ball, ran in the end zone, and scored. But they had called offensive pass interference on St. Brown. So the game ended that way. Pitt with a defensive stop reminded me a lot of what I saw Miami do at the end of that game to win the game. And what Pitt was also doing was running the ball. Now, Jalen Warren, they had like 3 45-yard blasts. If Pittsburgh can do that, and then Aaron Rodgers do what he does, toss in his 266 yards, 1 touchdown with no interception, no mistakes, Pittsburgh can make some. And T.J. Watt wasn't even. So yeah. I just don't know if they're going to run like they ran today in the playoffs. They ran well today. Aaron Rodgers is not the guy that can do this and carry a team. He needs that kind of support. Pitt has to continue to give that kind of support. Which other game number 2, was the Jags in Denver. That game was probably the best game, if you ask me, of the day, only because I'm watching the Jags grow. And I find this interesting because the Jags look like something. They win 39-20. You put up 39 points on Denver's defense, you're saying something. And I'm telling y'all, say what you want, Trevor Lawrence looks like a real deal Holyfield. It's been a minute, but I think he's finally here. Last couple of weeks, he's been playing great ball. Today, 279 and 3 tosses. Running touchdowns, throwing touchdowns. I mean, the dude is playing ball. He's looking like a first pick in the draft now. And that whole team with the Jags, that whole team is starting to play. They had Parker Washington, 145 yards today, taking that thing over the top in a TD. That whole team is starting to play. I was surprised. Now, let me tell you something. This margin of victory, I carry only so much weight into it. Because, are the Jags real? Will they get by Denver again? The Jaguars are the desperation. They want to get in the playoffs right now, and Denver is in a good spot. So there was a little bit more want to with the Jags. But Denver has won 11 straight games. And I'm going to tell you guys something. When you win 11 straight games, you're having so much fun and everything, and everything's going so well. You don't focus on the details, the little details. And that's what happened to them today. Made plays, didn't focus on the details. Knicks threw for 352 yards, but the game in the end got away, and they didn't win the game. Now, this may be the best thing for Denver, because now Monday, they'll go back in and watch film with a whole different perspective. Now that the 11-game win streak has come to an end. This is a good thing to prepare this young team as they get ready to go into the playoffs. I would have hated for this team, just like the Patriots, to go into the playoffs without suffering a loss. Because a loss makes you refocus. And that's what Denver will do. I think that's what New England did last week. That's why they came out this week and beat down the Baltimore Ravens. So I believe Denver, and I still believe in Denver. Surprise, Cortland Sutton and Bo Nix didn't get it done today against the Jags, but that Jags defense stood up and played great. My number 1 game this week was Tampa Bay and Carolina. First of all, I didn't expect Carolina to be here, and I don't think anybody expects Carolina to be here. But they are. And they beat Tampa today. And I was thinking about what Baker Mayfield must be thinking, because he must have been saying, oh my God, I'm going to take over this division. I got Bryce Young. I got, Tommy Shucks or whatever in New Orleans. I'm going to take over this division. Bryce Young said, wait, not so quickly. Bryce Young got that young kid, Territorial McMillan, and that's a bad young dude. I told y'all. That combination of him and McMillan, they're going to do some damage for a long time. And Tampa's combination of Mayfield and Evans is getting old. While these are the fresh new legs that are in that division that is going to take over. I'm a little surprised Tampa Bay's dealing with some of the things that they're dealing with. But I believe Emeka Buka just, he went up, came back down, went up, came back down, only had 40 yards today. But I expected him to take off, and he hasn't taken off yet.